Welcome back to Wristwatchism and our first 2020 episode. We are having a proper look at the Alpine Eagle by Chopard, a seminal piece for this Swiss brand and their first foray into the very important integrated bracelet sports watch market. I will first address the two elephants in the room, which is this iconic time. And I never thought I used the word metallurgy in a wristwatch review. That's because this is a special proprietary steel alloy that has been developed by Chopard as a precious metal. This is called Lucent Steel A223. It's partially recycled steel, so it's carrying on their ethical mindset that they have, which is great in these days, and it is 50% harder than normal stainless steel, so it's harder to work with, it's brighter, the polished edges are brilliant. They brought out no less than 10 references for this model, and we are looking at the men's 41mm with the fantastic bright blue dial, which is supposed to represent the iris of an eagle, hence the Alpine Eagle name. The design is based on the St. Moritz, which is a watch they designed in 1980. This was designed by the co-chairman Carl Friedrich Schäufele and brought back to his memory banks by his grandchild. And you can see the design clues here and the similarities. That's the base. This is the watch. Keep watching and subscribe. So here we are with a substantial box from Chopard. Let's open it up and have a look. This is a very nice cardboard fabric covered box on the outside. And then inside, reason of this being quite substantial and also heavy is that you have a rather nice veneered wooden box. The instruction manual is in here. We're not going to have a look at that. There's no guarantee card because unfortunately this watch is not mine, as usual. The box is very nice. This is a veneered wooden box in, I think, oak, and you have the Chopard logo and a compass rose actually inlaid in metal in the box. There's a brushed stainless steel push button opening, and I bet you want me to open this up now. So let's have a look. What are the first impressions? There we go, the Alpine Eagle. What strikes you first is obviously the dial. The dial in real life is brilliant, the way it plays with the light. This is the galvanic treated blue version, which as the name suggests, the Alpine Eagle, this blue is supposed to represent the iris of the Alpine Eagle. What strikes you is the fact that this is actually quite compact, and I have a suspicion this is going to be very comfortable on the wrist. It is more compact and feels smaller than its 41mm will suggest when you take it out of the box. Retail price here, this has got a price here, Norwegian kroner, 122,000. That'll be about $13,000, about 12,300 euros retail, and this comes right into the now, especially in 2019, very hot market for the integrated stainless steel bracelet watches. And is this a Me Too design, or does it speak its own language? Let's have a look. Let's put away the boxes and have a closer look at this beauty. So let's start with addressing the main issue concerning quite a lot of would-be buyers first. Is this a Me Too piece? I would say no. you will notice some design clues from the Nautilus with the broad shoulders compared to the rest of the case. The famous Audemars Piguet Royal Oak with the screws in the bezel. But obviously this is based on a design from the 80s called the St. Moritz, which was brought back to the memory banks of Carl Friedrich Schäuffele by his grandson, that told him it would be a great idea to pick up that design again, especially now when this is such a hotly contested part of the market. So when you look at this watch, look at the design clues from the original design, the bezel screws. Obviously, had they taken the design of the St. Moritz literally, the case itself would not have been so pretty, but that's another story. You saw the pictures, be the judge yourself. Me, when I picked it up, it is more compact and smaller than the images would suggest. It's got a 41mm size, but that is here on the broad shoulders of the case, so it actually will wear quite a bit smaller, especially with the quite thick bezel, riot on the dial and the Roman numerals, which will make this a smaller watch and very right with today's reduced sizes in watches. They've actually got about 10 references of this now, which includes a smaller ladies model of 36mm, which in today's market will actually also be worn by men. So no more looking at this fantastic dial. Let's start with the bracelet. This is the, on the back here you have the Chopard logo, a lovely butterfly clasp. You have to close one side before the other, and it's got a nice solid locking pin system, a milled steel, polished steel edges, superb quality. One of the best butterfly clasps I've tried. And you can see here the way the bracelet is put together. You have steel pins holding it together, actually shared between the links. The adjustment and size is done by the screws here on the back, which go through to the polished center sections. And it is a superbly made bracelet. You have beveled edges on each of the links that follow through to the case, and this being quite a true representation of the original St. Moritz design, you have the design following through onto the case itself, keeping that polished center link, but this part obviously being fixed to the case itself. Carrying on with the brushed side, beveled edge, and yeah, to me this speaks its own language. It's got a proper design integrity. You will see clues from the Nautilus, you will see clues from the Royal Oak, but this is based on their own model, and as I said, it seems, when you take it out of the box, it seems a lot more compact than you imagined, and the dials are to die for. I mean, this is a galvanic treatment that creates this fantastic blue color, which is supposed to here represent the iris of an eagle, hence the Alpine Eagle moniker. Let's go around the back, get hypnotized by that dial. This is their in-house movement with a 60-hour power reserve, and what is very, very impressive here is the fact that they've got the full size rotor, 60-hour power reserve, which obviously means quite a big main barrel, and yet the thickness of the watch is actually less than 10mm. So great job, Chopard, which will make it even more comfortable on the wrist. And you see the way the bracelet is actually quite slender. So case itself, top of the case, brushed, beveled, polished edges, polished shoulders here to create a bit more interesting play of the light. The bezel is brushed vertically with the screws, which are actually, the slots of the screws are following the radius of the bezel, which to me is just lovely. Pairing of the screws is from the original design of the St. Moritz. And then the metallurgy. Why am I saying this? Because this is not normal stainless steel. You will see this is actually a bit light. It's not the lighting in here that makes this brighter than normal stainless steel. It's the fact that this is a special alloy stainless steel called lucent steel A223. This is actually made by Chopard in their own foundry. It's harder to work with because it is actually 50% more resistant than normal stainless steel, which is brilliant. Obviously, this is not your rough and tumble sports watch that you're going to, wear mountain biking, but 60 hours power reserve in a sub 10 millimeter watch. Put it down on Friday, put on your sports watch, go mountain biking, pick it up again on Monday, go to that business meeting, and it will still be ticking away. It's a chronometer certified movement, COSC, and I'll put up the specs now and then show you what it feels like on the wrist. Dial is always going to be the star of the show on this watch. You have the structured galvanic treated dials in blue or dark grey, with strong accents being provided by the applied indices and Roman numerals that are rhodium plated and superluminova filled, with the discrete date at 4:30 and the outer minute track providing extra depth to the dial. So here we are. This is the Alpine Eagle on my wrist. Obviously, this is not a completely accurate representation because this is the full-size bracelet on my quite puny wrist. I can't size it up because this is not my watch. Unfortunately, I have to hand it back next week, but it sits incredibly comfortable on the wrist. You really notice that reduced thickness compared to quite a few other sports watches. Sub 10 millimeters is very slender. I don't know what's wrong with the images I've seen of this watch, but it seems bigger. It's very compact. It's superbly comfortable on the wrist, and you really notice in the light the special steel alloy that Chopard uses, and the fact that the finishing on the bracelet is very nice. You have the little bevels on each of the links, which makes it play with the light brilliantly. I came into this half skeptical. I'm very, very impressed. I have no issues with the Roman numerals. I think they work really well with the design. Price wise, it's about $12,500. Fits right into their price bracket in this, even though it's a very hotly contested market. You have the Nautilus, you have the Royal Oak, you have the lower end of the spectrum with the Bell & Ross BL05. This has got its own design language, it's got its own design. The dials are absolutely fantastic, and I'm actually very, very impressed, especially with the fact that it's 41 millimeters. It wears smaller, it's slender, it's got superb details on the case and dial. It's 9.7 millimeters thick with a 60-hour power reserve and a full-size rotor. That's damn impressive. And bracelet superbly finished. The fact that the Chopard has gone to the lengths of actually, on top of having an in-house movement, which is chronometer certified, having their own steel alloy from their own foundry. It's just, you know, those that particular attention to detail would win it for me every time.